Welcome, everybody. My name is Carly Graham Garcia. I'm the Executive Director of the Feliciano Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Montclair State University. Welcome to Weekly Women Entrepreneurship. I'm joined today by Kris Ohleth, founder of Garden State Kitchen. Kris, welcome.
Thanks, Carly.
Thanks for being with us. So tell our viewers who don't know Garden State Kitchen, what is it? And in starting Garden State, what problem are you solving for?
Well, we are a shared commercial kitchen facility known in the industry as a kitchen incubator because it is our mission to incubate small food-based businesses that are generally in startup mode who are looking for kitchen space and other services to help grow and even just start their business. The problem we were solving for initially really was this lack of certified commercial kitchen space in New Jersey, where, by the way, we are the only state in the United States to not have what are called cottage food laws. So it is actually by law required that you use a commercial kitchen even if you sell $1 worth of the food you make in a public space. So we were looking around to start a food-based business and realized there was this true need for kitchen space for small businesses, but then kind of broadened our scope to include those other softer services to support our members as they grow their business.
Interesting. So for those who don't know about cottage food laws, here in New Jersey, we're really unique because, if I'm understanding you correctly, it means that somebody that might have a cupcake business can't create those cupcakes out of her home kitchen and then sell them legally to a bakery. She has to come to a culinary incubator like Garden State Kitchen. Is that correct?
Any type of certified, board certified, or licensed commercial kitchen. That's correct.
Wow. So how did you find your initial customers? I mean, you sort of discovered this problem looking around for this service yourself. How did you, find kind of your initial entrepreneurs that were wanting to come and actually use this space once you built it?
Well, my husband and I started the business together, and we were really active in the kind of farmers market scene here in New Jersey. And so just getting to know many of the vendors, we started hearing that refrain of, we're looking for kitchen space. Does anyone know where there's kitchen space? And so we started canvassing each and every farmers market. It's a horrible situation to have to be in. But so we spent a lot of time at farmers market, passing out our business cards, talking to entrepreneurs about what their needs are. We, spend a lot of time reaching out to recent graduates of culinary institutes, to canvassing food truck festivals, another horrible situation to find yourself in. So I have a really great job, but really anywhere there's food, I'm there, talking to folks about these opportunities to either maybe reduce the overhead that they currently have for their business in their own kitchen space. We learned that there's a lot of risk and costs associated with building and operating a kitchen. So to the extent that they might be able to drop some of that cost and risk into what we do, and then they can focus, really solely on making their products.
That's great. That's great. So tell us a little bit about funding this venture, you and your husband. Once you sort of, had this idea, you were canvassing, farmers markets and other places, finding potential customers, building those relationships. How did you actually get this from idea, to kind of, legit business? I mean, where did you find the capital?
Well, we, in addition to having a lot of savings of our own that we kind of, put forth, we had always really espoused the idea of participating in like a community-based model. So for us, that meant from the very beginning, and our business is located in Orange, New Jersey, we, started working with the local nonprofits and what are known as CDFIs, who are essentially the small nonprofits who can distribute funds through the Small Business through the Small Business Authority. And so that's really helped. Those CDFIs were really helpful to us because, we were able to put up some capital, but opening a large commercial kitchen is a very expensive undertaking, as you might imagine. So we were able to tap into folks like the Greater Newark Economic Corporation and New Jersey Community Capital who also, were really instrumental in providing funding. They're really, it's very interesting because as it's starting up my own business, I spent a lot of time, visiting traditional lenders like banks and things. And you learn pretty quickly that if you're an entrepreneur and if you don't have 2 years of solid numbers on the books, the banks really aren't interested in talking to you yet. And there's an old expression that I love, which is that banks will lend you money when you don't need it.
Right.
And that tends to be true. So that was, part of the reason we wanted to stick with those community development financial institutions, or CDFIs.
Wow. Wow. Good advice. So this is your side hustle, and it's a big side hustle. You have another primary job, another sort of part of your brain that does different work. Tell us a little bit about finding capacity for this project. Sort of, when did you work on this concept with your husband? When did you find time to actually do this business? And then is there any sort of part of you that feels at some point you will do it 100%, or do you like sort of that split, day job and side hustle element of your entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And one of the first things that I heard from some of my mentors at Rising Tide Capital, who are a nonprofit based in Jersey City that do excellent small business coaching and mentoring. If you're a small business out there, you should definitely check out their services. The first thing they said to me was, don't quit your day job. And it's been a struggle to find the time and find the energy, for sure. I would be lying if I didn't say so. But I think one of the reasons that, the second word in the phrase side hustle is hustle. You need to spend a lot of time and energy and be willing to forego and make a lot of sacrifices. I mean, we have been open physically for 18 months, but over the past 5 years, there haven't been vacations. There haven't been many days slept past 5 a.m. It's just, this is, kind of my normal is to, constantly be churning at, kind of my side hustle, and then also my day job, which is in renewable energy, which is another passion of mine. So I feel very fortunate. Many of the entrepreneurs in my cohort at Rising Tide Capital experienced real challenges because they had to work in like retail positions, things that didn't offer benefits, that were, really challenging. Meanwhile, I got to be working in a career job and, providing for my family at the same time. And I'm supremely grateful. I also think it's very important that, because I do have that kind of secure financial foundation from which to work on the kitchen, I don't ever need to make decisions out of desperation, which sometimes entrepreneurs find themselves in those situations. And in any walk of life, making a decision from a point of desperation usually does not yield positive results. So I plan to, stick with this kind of, this duality as long as I can. And things are looking really positive for both. So I'm really happy.
Wow, that's great. And you gave some nuggets of advice there. I'm gonna come back to your advice for other entrepreneurs in a minute or two. Let's talk a little bit about the business and sort of brand extensions you've had at the kitchen. We are in the middle of a global pandemic. You have been running virtual workshops. You have a series beginning to support food entrepreneurs called The Formula. Tell us a little bit about building that model of your business and how entrepreneurs can kind of tap into it.
Yeah, well, we saw pretty quickly that it would make sense for us to provide some of this foundational support. If businesses weren't doing well, selfishly, they wouldn't be able to continue to work in our kitchen. So, it was also, an important need for the kitchen, but we saw it as an opportunity to really support the community of entrepreneurs who have become real family to us. So we love doing it. And it's not really one of our big revenue streams per se, but it's just this supportive environment where we can, bring in potential new members and then cultivate the ones who are currently working with us. We started our signature workshop series as a 6-week program called The Formula, which is startup basics for specifically tailored for food-based businesses. And I know, Carly, you and I have talked about this, that there are many programs out there to help small businesses start up, but ones that are specific for food are few and far between, and food really is different. And so when you're starting up a food-based business, to get those fundamentals from, experts essentially who we bring in, real experts in the field. They become, long time resources for the students in the classes. And we have had, 2 rounds of the formula in person, and we plan to convert those workshops in the fall to a virtual program. We're looking forward to that.
That's great. That's really great. I know we don't have too much more of your time, so I'm going to ask 2 last questions, although I'm sure we're going to have others in follow-up. So our center at Montclair State has had a very deliberate focus around female entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of color. And this series in particular is meant to be supportive of female founders so that they can learn from one another globally, whether you're on a college campus or at a business or working within a nonprofit. I've noticed, you have had a lot of women cycle through the kitchens, being supportive of their businesses, and also entrepreneurs of color. Was that an intentional focus, or did that sort of just happen? I mean, I'm just curious about that, because you seem like from the get-go you were extremely inclusive. And so tell me a little bit about, how that happened.
Yeah, well, I think, as you think about who your market segment is, and how, regardless of if you're running a kitchen or you're running a food, a food product business, you're always thinking about who, how you differentiate yourself in the marketplace based on, if someone is looking at a variety of different kitchens to go to. I think what's clear about Garden State Kitchen is that we have community at our center. It's how we were able to open our doors and how we encourage our entrepreneurs to operate, because we know we're stronger together. And so I think that just general tone and experience has appealed generally to women and entrepreneurs of color. And we do see, in fact, that is kind of the bulk of our business. And so we're really delighted that that's happened, and we want to kind of continue that. And I think as long as we maintain this community focus, that will be the primary driver for that.
That's great. That's great. So final parting question. You gave us a little bit of advice before. If you had to look back at your sort of previous self 18 months ago, or even farther back, do's and don'ts, wish you'd knowns, let us kind of pay it forward. Any nuggets of advice for entrepreneurs who are listening in?
Yeah, well, I think I learned through the struggle of trying to do a lot of things on my own, that calling in this theme we're having of community, and especially as women, you, Carly, have been in my corner, and so many other great women. So really calling on those resources and bringing them into the fold. I probably would have started that sooner. I've been a very much kind of a do-it-yourself kind of woman. And as I get older and as I learn more about entrepreneurship, it's very rare that someone has come to this place on their own. And so, calling in your favors, calling in your community. And I think too, what has been really helpful is, I don't know, there's this, I find this interesting kind of message in the media about entrepreneurship. And, you look at, some of these food-based or other businesses who kind of seem to spring up overnight, and they have these huge successes and seemingly come out of nowhere. And I think that can almost be a disservice as entrepreneurs continue their journey, because they're really expecting something to happen overnight, that even if it appeared to happen for an entrepreneur that way, there's likely of years in the making, and many, many frustrations, and many quote unquote failures and experiences. So I think, if I have any words of encouragement or wisdom, is don't think that that's the typical, don't think that's the norm. That's a 1 in a million case. And that's why it's newsworthy, because it's different. What really happens in entrepreneurship is the getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to write the business plan, and, just doing all the work you need to do to make your business flourish. And I wish all the women entrepreneurs out there the best of luck with your food businesses.
Kris Ohleth, founder of Garden State Kitchen, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, Carly.